All right, everyone, get ready, because today we are going deep on something really fun.
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien on Hot Ones.
Oh, I love this one.
Now, I'm assuming most of you are familiar with Hot Ones, right? Celebrities eating spicy wings.
Super popular.
Yes, super popular, being interviewed.
Yeah.
But what we're going to be doing today is a little different.
Yeah.
We're going to use this interview
Right.
to really explore
Yes.
what makes Conan tick.
Totally.
How does his humor work?
Yeah.
What can we learn about his incredible career from this one interview?
Absolutely.
So let's start right at the beginning.
Okay.
Conan walks in, jokes about being Irish, no spices,
Yeah.
and he's got his doctor, Dr. Royo,
Right.
to take his pulse and his temperature.
Of course.
I mean, classic Conan, right?
Absolutely. Classic.
Setting the stage
Yeah.
for what's about to happen,
Right.
playing with expectations.
Totally.
And I think that self-deprecating humor
Yeah.
is something that we see throughout his career, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, this is something that he has really used a lot.
Yeah.
The use of physical comedy, the self-deprecation.
Right, it's not just about him
Yeah.
sweating and chugging milk on Hot Ones.
Exactly.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah.
It's like, think about some of his most iconic bits.
Okay.
The masturbating bear,
Yeah.
Triumph the insult comic dog.
Right.
He's always putting himself
Yeah.
out there.
He's the butt of the joke often.
Yeah, he's making himself uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's funny because during this interview,
Right.
he keeps saying, oh, I'm unfazed. You know,
Yeah.
these wings are nothing.
Right.
I could eat these like ice cream. But, you know,
Yeah.
his body's telling a different story.
Yes. Completely different.
You know, the eye-watering, the hiccups,
Mhm.
constantly asking Dr. Royo to come back and check his pulse.
Yeah.
It's that juxtaposition
Yeah.
between what he's saying and what his body's doing
Totally.
that makes it so funny.
Uh,
And it makes you think, you know,
yeah.
is there something deeper there?
Oh, yeah.
Is he commenting
Yeah.
on how society expects men to just be tough?
Right. Exactly.
Like, even when they're in pain?
Yeah. Like never show weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's kind of exaggerating that, right?
Yes. I mean, I think he's definitely playing with that
Yeah.
trope
Yeah.
to a point of absurdity, which I think is
Yeah.
often what his comedy is.
Totally.
You know, it's really
Yeah.
about taking those things and just exaggerating them.
Okay, so we've established that Conan,
Yeah.
not afraid of a little discomfort,
Right.
both physically and comedically.
Right.
Now, what about his approach
Okay.
to travel and comedy?
Yeah.
He was promoting his new show, Conan O'Brien Must Go.
Yeah.
And he made this joke about wanting viewers to learn nothing about the countries he's visiting.
Right. I love that bit.
Yes, I love that bit too.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
remember when he talked about encountering a comedy vacuum?
Yeah.
While filming in Finland's Arctic Circle.
Yes.
It's like he loves the challenge
I think so.
of finding humor
Yeah.
in these unexpected situations.
Yeah, I think it's about embracing the absurd and finding humor in what
Wait.
other people might see as mundane.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that really does speak to his process.
Yeah.
He's not afraid
Right.
to really embrace that.
Yeah.
Embrace the unexpected.
He's not looking for the easy laugh.
Yeah.
He's going for something
Mhm.
deeper, more
Right.
interesting.
Much more interesting.
So he's finding humor in the discomfort
right.
and the unexpected.
Yeah.
And it seems like he applies this philosophy
Huh.
to his career as well.
Okay.
He talks about one of his pet peeves
Yes.
about talk show guests
Yeah.
who announce to the audience that the interview's not going well.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
he's like, that's such an amateur move.
Right.
You're breaking the illusion.
Don't break that fourth wall.
Right. And then, you know, of course, he drops in the anecdote about telling B. Arthur she has 4 years to live.
Right. Which ended up being like
Yeah.
eerily true.
Eerily true.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I think that dark humor,
It's such a part of his style.
it is.
Uh-huh.
He's pushing the boundaries.
Right.
You know, he's going to places
Yes.
that other people wouldn't.
Totally.
But he does it in a way
Yeah.
that works.
He does it with, I think, a wink and a nod
Yeah.
that makes it okay.
It's not mean-spirited.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
Conan.
It's Conan.
And speaking of pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
how about that story
Oh, yeah.
about the water buffalo?
Oh, that's a good one.
During the rehearsal for his show,
Yes.
I mean, he was really committed to the bit.
So committed, even though he got hurt.
Yeah, he really does
Yeah.
commit to those bits.
He does.
Yeah.
And I think that really speaks to the unpredictable nature of live television.
Absolutely.
That, you know, sometimes,
Those moments
Yeah.
that you don't expect
Yeah.
are the ones that are the funniest.
Exactly.
And it's like he thrives
Yeah.
in that chaos,
I think so.
in that unpredictability.
Uh-huh.
And I think it all ties back to that philosophy we were talking about.
Okay.
About, embrace the discomfort.
Yeah.
Find the humor in the unexpected.
Yeah.
And never take yourself too seriously.
Yes, I love that.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of embracing the unexpected,
Okay.
how about we delve into
Yeah.
his reflections on his career?
Yeah.
He talks about distinct eras
Yes.
marked by fear,
Yeah.
craziness,
Okay.
and ultimately joy.
Yeah.
But what I thought was really interesting
Okay.
was how he emphasized creating memorable work
Right.
rather than focusing on sheer volume,
Right.
which in an industry that's obsessed
Yes.
with ratings and output,
Uh-huh.
that's a pretty interesting perspective.
I think that shows a lot of maturity
Yeah.
and self-awareness.
Yeah.
That he's not just looking to be funny.
Yeah.
He's looking to create something
Right.
that will last.
Something meaningful.
Right.
Something that will resonate
Exactly.
long after he's gone.
Uh-huh.
Which brings us to his choice.
Okay.
That might seem a little out there.
Right.
The best presidential podcast guest,
Okay.
Richard Nixon.
Now, when I first heard that, I was like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
But the more I think about it, I
Yeah.
actually really appreciate that answer.
Yeah.
Because it's not the easy answer. It's
Yeah.
not the safe bet.
It's so Conan, though,
It
Ro.
is so Conan.
Yeah. It's like he's fascinated
I think so.
by these complex figures
Yeah.
who are often demonized.
Right.
And he's like, well, what if we look at them differently?
Yeah. Yes.
What if we try to find the humor?
The humor and the humanity.
Humanity in these figures.
Yeah.
So we've got
Okay.
Conan the boundary pusher.
Yeah.
Bailey the adaptable cameraman.
Right.
And then Richard Nixon thrown into the mix.
Yes.
I mean, it's all starting to come together.
It really is, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
We're seeing how Conan uses humor
Yeah.
to navigate discomfort,
Right.
to
Yeah.
explore complexity,
Yeah.
to connect with people in these unexpected ways.
I love that.
But before we dive into his final piece of advice,
Okay.
let's take a moment
Yeah.
to reflect on what we've discussed.
Okay.
What resonated with you the most?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
his willingness to embrace the unconventional,
Uh-huh.
the challenging,
Right.
even the painful?
Yeah.
What can we learn from that?
I think there's a lot to learn.
What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that
Okay.
there's a lot to learn.
So hold those thoughts.
Yeah.
We'll be back in just a moment
Okay.
to continue our deep dive
All right.
into Conan's Hot Ones interview,
Sounds good.
and we'll explore what his insights might reveal about our own lives.
That'll be fun. Welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone.
We were just talking about Conan's perspective on comedy and his really
Yeah.
interesting and impressive career.
Yeah.
But his journey wasn't always
Right.
smooth sailing,
Of course not.
especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
He actually told this story about his early days
Yeah.
as a writer for Saturday Night Live
Oh, yeah.
that really kind of exemplifies
Okay.
his dedication.
You mean the one where he sneaks down
Yeah.
to David Letterman's studio?
Yes.
Oh, I love that story.
It's such a good one.
It's amazing to think about. Like a young Conan
Yeah.
kind of in awe of Letterman,
Yes.
sitting at his desk trying to like
Soak it all in.
soak it all in.
Yeah.
And this is back when Letterman was still hosting Late Night on NBC.
I know.
And then, of
Yeah.
course, years later,
Years later.
Conan takes over that same time slot.
Isn't that crazy?
It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
The unpredictable nature of show business.
Right. You just never know
You never know.
where you're going to end up.
And he connects that story
Yes.
to the unexpected success of Hot Ones.
Right.
It's like he's saying sometimes the most
Yeah.
unconventional paths
Yeah.
lead to the most interesting destinations.
I love that.
Yeah,
And I think it's something we can all learn from.
absolutely.
Like sometimes it's those things that we're scared of,
Yeah.
those paths that I don't know about that.
Right.
Those are the ones that actually hold the most potential for growth.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's about trusting your instincts, right?
Yes, absolutely. Even if it leads you down a path
Yeah.
less traveled by.
So we've got Conan pushing those boundaries.
Yes.
But speaking of unconventional paths,
Okay.
what about those stories he told about
Oh, yeah.
taking over the late night studio after Letterman left
Right.
Bailey, the veteran cameraman?
Poor Bailey, who had been with Letterman for years.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's got this, like,
Yeah.
whirlwind of comedic energy
Yeah.
in the form of Conan O'Brien.
Bodhi just bursts in and is like, we're going to do this and this and this.
I know, and Bailey's like...
Then poor Bailey is like,
well, it's
I'm too old for this.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's amazing, though. Like,
Yeah.
he's pitching these wild ideas.
Right.
He's running around the studio, jumping out windows, talking about strapping rockets to Bailey's feet.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
And it's like this clash
It is.
of comedic eras
Yes, totally.
personified in this one cameraman.
Right.
Conan bringing in this new energy,
Yeah.
this faster pace,
Yeah.
more absurd, physical.
Or physical, absolutely.
And then you've got Bailey,
Yeah.
who's like,
I don't know about this.
I worked with Letterman. This is how we do it.
Yeah. Things were calmer then.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got Conan pushing the boundaries.
Right.
You've got Bailey trying to adapt.
Yeah. And Bailey is very much
Bless his heart.
trying to adapt.
But there's something admirable about that.
Absolutely.
Like just his willingness to go with the flow.
Yeah. And I think that's something that is a great lesson for all of us.
Absolutely.
Just that adaptability in a
Yeah.
world that is constantly changing.
So Conan pushing boundaries.
Right.
Bailey adapting to chaos.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to that theme
Yeah.
of embracing the discomfort.
Embracing the discomfort.
Yeah. And you know what really fits in with that?
What's that?
That choice of his best presidential podcast guest,
Richard Nixon.
Richard Nixon.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Of all the presidents,
No, I
Richard
know.
Nixon.
Right.
But the more I think about it,
Yeah.
it makes sense for Conan,
It does.
right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not interested in just, like,
Right.
rehashing history.
Rehashing history, right?
Or, like, reinforcing
Yeah.
these preconceived notions.
Sure,
It's like
yeah.
he wants to dig deeper
Yeah.
and find those contradictions.
Yeah, find those contradictions.
Those flaws. The flaws.
And maybe even find the humor
Yeah.
in the midst of it all.
And I think it's about recognizing the humanity
Yeah.
in these larger-than-life figures.
Yeah.
I mean, Nixon, despite his flaws, despite the scandals,
Right.
I think Conan sees that comedic potential
Yeah.
in that gap
Yeah.
between the public persona
Right.
and his private struggles.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And I think it applies to how we view
Mm-hmm.
people in general.
Totally.
Like we often
Yeah.
put them in boxes.
Yeah, right.
We label them as heroes or villains.
Heroes or villains.
But there's always more to the story.
There's always more to this.
There's always that human element,
Right.
that complexity that we
Yeah.
sometimes overlook.
Totally.
So we've got
Okay.
Conan the boundary pusher,
Right?
Bailey the adaptable cameraman,
Yes.
and then Richard Nixon
Yes.
thrown into the mix
I love it.
as the unexpected podcast guest.
It's perfect.
It's all starting to come together.
It really is, yeah.
We're seeing how Conan uses humor
Yeah.
to navigate discomfort,
Right.
to explore complexity,
Yeah.
and to connect with people in these unexpected ways.
That's so great.
But before we dive into that final piece of advice,
Okay.
let's take another moment
Right.
to check in with you,
Okay.
the listener.
Yeah.
What's resonating with you the most so far?
Yeah. What are you thinking about?
Is it the idea of embracing discomfort,
Yeah.
the power of adaptability,
Right.
or maybe the importance of recognizing the humanity in everyone,
Uh-huh.
even those that we might consider
Right.
flawed
Yeah.
or controversial?
Yeah. What are you thinking about?
Keep those thoughts in mind
Okay.
because we're going to be moving into that final part of
Yeah.
our deep dive
Okay.
and exploring Conan's advice to aspiring comedians
Ooh. I like this one.
and how it connects
Yeah.
to everything we've been talking about.
All right. Let's do it.
All right, welcome back.
Welcome back.
We've been talking about Conan's comedic journey,
Yes.
his philosophy,
Yeah.
all these insights into the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
But there's one final thing I want to touch on.
Okay.
His advice to aspiring comedians.
Oh, yeah.
I love
Me
this.
too.
In the midst of all this, like
Right.
hot wing
Yeah.
pain,
Mm.
he drops this like incredibly profound wisdom.
Right.
And he says, read widely and read well.
Such a good one.
It's like, it's not what you'd expect
No, not at all.
from a guy known for,
Yeah.
wacky stunts and physical comedy.
Right. You'd think he'd be like,
You'd think he'd be like,
go out there and fall down.
yeah, just be funny.
Be silly.
But instead, he's like,
Yeah.
no, you got to read.
You gotta read.
Broaden your horizons.
Yeah.
Immerse yourself in literature.
Uh-huh.
It's really powerful because
But
it
it is.
challenges the notion
Yeah.
that comedy is just about being funny in the moment.
Right.
It's deeper than that.
Yeah. It's about having something to say.
Yeah.
And I think reading gives you that.
It gives you that foundation
Yes.
of knowledge and understanding.
Yeah, and I think it just makes his comedy
Yeah.
so much richer.
So much richer. And it all ties back to
Right.
everything we've been talking about today.
Yeah.
You know, his willingness to embrace discomfort,
Right.
his fascination with figures like Nixon,
Yeah, those complex figures.
his ability to find humor in the unexpected,
Yeah.
it all comes from that curiosity,
Yes.
that desire to learn.
That willingness to,
Yeah,
constantly grow and learn.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a good reminder.
It is.
It's not just for aspiring comedians.
Right.
This is for everybody.
Sorry, everybody.
It's about cultivating that same sense of curiosity,
Yeah.
that willingness to step outside our comfort zones,
Totally.
explore new ideas, new perspectives.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important takeaway from this. Not just a funny guy
Right.
eating hot wings.
Yeah.
He's a thoughtful person
Yes.
who's constantly pushing those boundaries
Yeah.
and challenging conventions
That's
and
it.
really kind of reminding us
Yeah.
not to take ourselves too seriously.
So as we wrap things up today, I
Yeah.
want to leave you with this one final thought.
Okay.
What are your hot wings moments?
Ooh. I like it.
What are those challenges that you're facing?
Yeah.
The discomforts that you're avoiding?
Uh-huh.
Maybe those boundaries that you're hesitant to push?
Right. What are those?
And how can you embrace those moments with a little more humor,
Right.
a little more
Their
resilient,
Conan spirit.
and maybe a little bit of that Conan spirit?
Yes. A little bit of bring it on.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those are the moments
They are.
that are the most rewarding.
Uh-huh.
The ones that push us outside of our comfort zones
Right.
and force us to find the humor in those challenging situations.
I love that.
That's it for our deep dive into Conan O'Brien on Hot Ones.
So much fun.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening, everyone.